Hola a todos, ¿qué tal? Aquí seguimos en este programa de contenidos digitales en esta plataforma virtual de 15 INCIBE. Y ahora voy a estar con vosotros para una entrevista un tanto diferente, básicamente porque vamos a entrevistar a uno de nuestros keynote speakers, que es James Lindsay. Él es experto en gestión de crisis y en resiliencia, y vamos a hacer una entrevista que va a ser en inglés en este caso, porque él nos viene desde lejos, ¿no? Desde Escocia en concreto. Bueno, James, how are you? Welcome to ENICE.
Thank you very much.
I hope you've enjoyed the experience.
Yes, today's been a great day. It's been very nice to meet everybody and also great to be on your stage. Thank you for having me.
You've been doing your talk first and you come here after your talk, so there's no any kind of stress.
Okay, thank you. You can relax.
Yeah, keep relaxed. We wanted to ask you something about you that our audience can know who are you, who you are, what are you been doing, and what is this of crisis management, resilience? Tell us something about you.
Yeah, sure. So a long time ago, I was in the British Army, and I left the British Army and went to university, which is normally people do it the other way around. You know, they go to university in the British Army. When I left the university.
What were you doing at the British Army?
What was I doing? Okay, so I was in an infantry regiment called the Grenadier Guards, and you'll see outside Buckingham Palace, occasionally you see them when they're changing the guard. They wear the red tunic and the bearskin. And I was a platoon commander to start with. So that means you have about 30 men to manage. It was an interesting, it's a really interesting job where they give you a lot of responsibility very early on. In fact, it's fascinating.
So you left that, you went to university?
Yes, I did, and I studied engineering, chemical engineering at a university called UMIST. Chemical engineering at a university called Manchester University, which is in the middle of the UK. And then, so that was a 4-year course, and when I left that, I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers, and that's really where my business career started. And it was at PricewaterhouseCoopers that I started to specialize either in big project management or crisis management and business continuity. So that's where my sort of career started in terms of resilience.
Nowadays, everyone is talking about these topics, no?
Yeah.
I was before you with another speaker talking about the keywords that we use in our field, no? Mm-hmm. In the IT field or the cybersecurity field. Mm-hmm. Now there are new fields like artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning. So everyone is talking in our world. There's always too much noise about this resilience. No, it's a fashion.
Yeah.
Is this a fashion, resilience, or because it's a general, no, mainstream concept that we've taken in our field a few years ago. Maybe we're talking about resilience, in cyber resilience, since 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Do you think this is real? It's a fashion topic, or it's just a trend?
So in the UK and in Europe, resilience is changing. It's been defined in the UK by 2 sets of regulations that have come out. One of those sets of regulations is and they're from the 2 regulators that we have in the UK. And also, there's a European directive that is being drafted on cyber resilience. And it's very different. Resilience used to be business continuity, where each department in a company made sure that they had a plan and they'd done a business impact assessment. So they knew what that plan was about and what they were trying to achieve. What they really wanted to do in business continuity was they wanted to join it end to end across the company, because people deliver services across a company from the moment that a client first contacts them to the point that you have to deliver to that client, whether it be something you've manufactured, or in financial service it may be an insurance policy that you deliver them. In the banking world, it may be that you've opened a bank account and then you need to get all that information to the client, having sanction checked them along the way and check that they're real people. So resilience is about these end-to-end services that we need to deliver. And what we found is in the cyberspace, hackers are trying to break companies at the moment, as you well know.
Cyber criminals.
Cyber
hackers are the good ones.
White hackers.
It was just a joke. Huh?
Yeah, and so I think that, and there's also many other things that can go wrong. Buildings burn down, COVID, got in the way. So resilience is about how to operate through these disasters and keep delivering to your customer, even though you may be having problems. And you must learn from this experience, and you must harden your applications, your people, and your buildings in order to support this delivery. Because it is important that we do not let our customers down. So our customers will just go to other companies if you let them down. Resilience is now really important.
No, but do you know that everyone is talking about resilience in... many people are talking about resilience in the normal life. No, we have to be resilient.
Right. Yeah.
You've told us about COVID,
they talk
emotional
about personal
health.
resilience.
And, this is a concept that everyone is using, and it's kind of interesting. No, why that? Well, I wanted to ask you about one of the main topics that everyone could think when we are going to make you this interview, because when we read about your talk previously to your talk, we see that you have helped the people of Cambridge Analytica in your work of crisis management when all this famous incident with Facebook happened a few years ago. No? So please tell us something about that.
Thank you very much. It's been a really interesting journey, and I think really the story is probably about Facebook and Facebook's relationship with the application developers that it had. I think that Cambridge Analytica faced a very unique situation whereby they were accused of having some data that actually they didn't have, and it's very difficult to prove that you don't have something. Cambridge Analytica came to prominence because it was a company that supported political campaigns. It informed the campaign strategy, and it did this by analyzing the target market for the campaign that was underway, whether it was, a local election or a general election, whether it was in, whatever different countries it happened to be in. They hadn't actually worked in the UK and Europe. They tended to work outside that. They had pitched for work in the UK, and they were getting to know, the political parties within the UK. But they got stuck really between a rock and a hard place. And when you're in a crisis, it's very difficult to prove, the negative. You can prove that you've got something, but to prove that you don't have something is extremely difficult. And so that's really where they got caught up. The other thing is that they had some disaffected employees who worked with The Guardian, Channel 4, the New York Times to try and prove their own version of what they saw as the facts to be the case, i.e. that Cambridge had worked on Brexit, that Cambridge was able to manipulate data and manipulate people's views. But as we know, you don't change political parties. People don't change their views. Yes, there are a certain amount of floating voters, but the majority of people, just because they get a Facebook message, suddenly don't go rush out and buy something. And equally, they don't change their views. It takes a lot more than that. So actually, the Facebook data that they had, they found that it didn't really work. It didn't really work for them. And they didn't. So they got to a certain point in time where they said, well, look, this data is not really working for us. Facebook at the same time wanted Cambridge to delete the data. So they did delete it. But of course, this thing came back to haunt them because they weren't able to prove that they deleted the data, despite the fact they'd signed some legal documents. So, this was a news campaign that lasted 10 days. And for a crisis team, it's really difficult. That's a difficult position to be in.
That's the thing that happens with people, no, and with reputation, no, reputation.
Yeah, reputational damage.
But it's curious because when some kind of service is good, even though the problems that they face or reputational problems, they can go on. For example, we have Facebook. Mm-hmm. It's like it's my personal opinion, no? Mm-hmm. It's like their popularity has decreased a bit. They still have many users, but there are many users that have moved on to other platforms like Instagram. But what they do, they bought Instagram.
Yeah.
No? But for example, WhatsApp was a system that was also bought by them. And there's been a lot of hassle with WhatsApp here in Europe because of the changing of the politics. They are going to take data from the users. Mm-hmm. They've changed all that. So, me, for example, I collaborate a lot with media like you, and they.
Yeah, I mean, do you use WhatsApp?
I use WhatsApp.
Do you use Facebook?
I use Telegram.
You use Telegram. Do you use Instagram?
I use everything because I publish my work in all the platforms. But it's true that I've seen that maybe the popularity of some systems decreased, like Facebook, but they are still there. But WhatsApp, for example, even though the users have these problems or certain days they have any problems, so they move to Telegram or to other platforms, then when that moment passes away, they return to that platform, to that system, because it was a good system and it's the system most used for everyone. No?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how the human behavior, no? And I think that you have to take in account all these things when you are going to also do your job.
Yeah, and I think that, in terms of these big applications that we're using, I mean, they're highly complex. They have a huge amount of data centers behind them and infrastructure. At the moment, we're using them for free. I mean, it's really fantastic. And, it costs us absolutely nothing to use them. And yet, all they want to do is advertise to us. I don't think this is such a hard thing for us to take. What clearly we don't want them to do is misuse our data. And I think GDPR really does protect the user. And I'm sure there's going to be loopholes, et cetera, that they will then, look to plug in the longer term. What I don't like the idea of is that these platforms might do people harm. And I wish that aspect of it could be A, researched better, and B, avoided. And I'm thinking mainly of Facebook and Instagram's effect upon children, on teenagers, and especially young girls, and the image issue. These things really must be stopped. And I think also there's the other aspect of it that, there's some pretty nasty people out there that are using these platforms for their own good. So there's something about being an honest citizen and using them properly, but there's also something about the platforms stopping those people who are dishonest using their platforms.
Yeah. In that case, I think there are platforms like Facebook that maybe don't put all the interest in security or privacy of their users, or at least, or if this is not like that, they have very bad luck.
Yeah.
Because they keep on being famous because of security incidents. No. Then we have another systems where we've not seen any big problems, but we have also to live with these data breaches that oftenly we see, of LinkedIn, of Gmail. Maybe there's not an incident of LinkedIn or of Gmail, but we don't know how. We've seen, a few years ago, Collection One, a big database of identities of users of Gmail, Netflix, Spotify, Dropbox, Amazon, almost every service. My own Gmail account was there. It's not because they hacked me, they hacked very popular services. No? So we have to keep on. This is the reality that we are facing. No?
Yeah, and I think the reality of is that, probably goes back to some of the lessons I talked about on stage today, and that is that small companies who invent these platforms remain small, but they need to have a crisis management plan. They need to understand what they're going to do when nasty things happen to them. But more importantly, they need to have a set of values that underpin them and that they live those values. This is really important, and it's really important that these companies act and behave in a certain way that is not only consistent, but is along the values that our societies, our democracies hold.
Well, it's been a very interesting talk with you, James. I think you are a very interesting guy. That we could be hours here talking. We could. But we hope you've enjoyed your talk at the stage and this interview, and hope all the audience have enjoyed your talk because this interview. I think they are very interesting topic, and hope to see you again in another occasion.
Thank you very much, Deepak. It's been lovely to meet you.
Thank you very much, and enjoy ENICE.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.